Welcome back to 3 in the Key. I'm Noor Zainab with my co-host Justin Pooni, and the third one here today. Hold your horses, save your applause. We've got the man
No, we
of
should give him
Canada.
applause.
I mean, not right now. Let me just bring him on
Okay.
slowly a little bit. Slow down, Justin. He's already excited. But we have the man, the myth, the legend, the reason why we have the podcast landscape in Toronto and NBA media and honestly anywhere at this point. Jay Skeets of No Dunks at The Athletic. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for being here. I don't even have any words.
We're softening you up.
I was going to say, Justin, I just met you like a minute ago and I already like you. You were clapping.
Thank you. You're the only one in this office that does like me, so thank you.
It might change. I'll give you it might change a little bit. So
right. Give it 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do a quiz after. Yeah, we'll do a quiz after. You know how when you're out at the airports, like, how was your experience? We'll just be all about Justin.
When I leave the restroom, the washroom.
Yeah.
I never want to touch those things, so I just nod at the computer and say it was fine.
No, I feel you, especially after the COVID days. Yeah, not doing anything like that. Well, we got you here for a reason, Skeets, and it's because of the Raptors. How are you feeling about this team? And we obviously know that not much has changed with this core. We kept the same guys, only brought on Otto Porter, while the East got slowly better and better. So, Justin, take it away with the first question.
Skeets, I got to ask you, what would constitute as a good season for the Toronto Raptors? Is that player development? Is that playoffs? And my host actually wrote down contention. I'm not a big believer in contention at all. But what says you?
I definitely think a good season would be playoff appearance. I'll even go as far to say like a playoff series win. So getting into like a second round. I feel like I'm less optimistic than a lot of Raptors fans, and even in the NBA, prognostication. I can't say the word. The pundits. Let's go with pundits. Thank you. No I feel like I'm like trying to like, whoa, pump the brakes a little bit. I'm excited that people are convinced this is like a 50-win team with a bang, but you guys slipped it in there. It was like the East is probably better than it was with the Hawks adding DeJounte Murray and, the Cavaliers adding Donovan Mitchell, and the Raptors are probably in that tier. Like, I don't think everybody has the Raptors in tier 1 in the Eastern Conference, but they should be right there in tier 2. So yeah, I think a playoff appearance, a good fight, or a series win, along with, of course, development, is a good year. That'd be a fun year.
I like that. And then
I like to talk about the Hawks too.
He's our resident Hawks fan, also resident Toronto Raptors hater, anything Toronto Raptors. So I think he's loving the fact that you think you're not putting the Raptors at the 50 wins column just yet. I think I kind of agree with you because, like you said, the East has gotten so much better. Not to mention Boston just got Brogdon, and we saw how they looked good. They looked amazing last night. Yep. I had Philly winning, and I just got burned one more time because I was like, you know what, Robert Williams out there, who's going to guard Embiid? And it was going to be a no brainer for them. They got it anyway. But based off of all these Eastern Conference teams getting so much better, as of right now, looking ahead to April 2023, where do you think you're going to have the Raptors in seeding?
Probably, I would go 6th seed. I'd go 5th, maybe 6th seed. I think it's pretty far-fetched that they'll be hosting Game 1, up there in Toronto in a playoff series. But that's okay. Generally lose Game 1 anyway. Let's just do it on the road. So yeah, I think around there, and like, look, and I want to say, I think this could be a year where there's like 4 teams with maybe an identical record, for crying out loud, right? like a 48 win, a 47 win, where there's like just this glut of teams, and it's all these weird tiebreakers, and how did you do against them, and do you have that? So it could be almost like nothing really, like a game separating a 5th seed to a team that's in the play-in. I think that's very possible this year. So that's like, to me, a 5th or 6th spot in a very competitive Eastern Conference would be, again, I think a good regular season for the Raptors, and some promise to maybe, pull off the upset in terms of seeding in a first round matchup, depending on who they were playing.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, I want to believe that expectations are very, very high. And I want to ask you, do you think it's fair to place all this expectations on a young team that's centered around a guy like Scottie Barnes, where it's his second year and people are kind of projecting him to be a superstar? Now, I think I'm one to always temper expectations, especially on young players. Mm-hmm. What do you expect from Scottie Barnes, Precious Achiuwa, guys like that?
I think with Barnes specifically, I think it's wise to slow down and don't write his name in pen as an all-star, Sure, put it in pencil and hope, but second year, and he's really, I mean, he plays all positions, but he's basically a point guard for the Raptors. And that's a position that as a young guy, it takes even longer to get really comfortable in that role. Like there's going to be some growing pains here. I hope Raptors fans don't freak out, after a bad week or two, but the kid is special. And after winning rookie of the year and what we saw, and even some games in the playoffs, like it's okay to think this guy will blossom into an all-star and a leader for a team, but we don't have to make that within the first 30 games of this year. So we just need to be aware of that. I'm high on this team though, just because the continuity, that's always a plus, as long as everybody can stay healthy. It's just whether or not they'll get it done in a half court setting when it comes to offense. Defense is going to be elite. Nick Nurse is a genius on that end. We have all these guys that you can switch everywhere. They play hard. They play for each other. That's not a problem to me. It will be offense, specifically half court. Where are we getting our shots? Are we getting up enough 3-pointers and knocking them down? How is the ball movement? Is it getting a little sticky? Like, are we like going through Siakam and then Van Vliet getting his? Like, I just want the flow there. And that's my real concern with this team, and why I guess I'm holding back a little bit from like putting them into the upper echelon of the East.
Skeets, you read my mind. I've been on the same train too, where I'm like, I watched this team last year. Defense is a no-brainer. They're going to get it on. Nick Nurse has said it before too. He's like, if you're not going to play defense, you're not getting on the court.
Yep.
So defense has been cemented in this roster, in this core. They know what they got to do, but it's the shooting for me, especially in that guard depth position. I know we just brought on Malachi for an extended year at this time, but how do you feel about the guard depth, and how do you think Nick Nurse will utilize Malachi this season? Will he even get any minutes after Fred's knees are run down?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That I was like, these guys on the bench, like how many minutes are they going to get? Is Nurse going to continue with what he did last year? I think, what was it, like 5 of the Raptors were like in the top 20 in terms of minutes played. He really leaned heavily on those guys and maybe caught up to them at the end of the season. Gary Trent Jr. He's instrumental to this team, and just in terms of shooting the 3-pointer, and he'll let it fly. And we know he's a bit of a streaky shooter, but that we need. Look, I love the defense. I'm a sicko, it gets me excited, but at the same time, you've got to score to win. And we're going to need shooting to go with Siakam operating, obviously, in sort of ISO situations and attacking, and hopefully Barnes adding a more comfortable jump shot and stuff like that. So, yeah, and then the guys on the bench, they got to come in and contribute. Like, you're right. They're not going to be out there if they don't play hard on defense. But to win more games than lose, they're going to have to hit shots, because I think they'll be there as long as this team sort of believes in each other and shares it. But at a certain point, it's like, it sounds so cliche, but they just have to knock down shots that they've generated through their offense. But we'll see if they can do it.
You're 100% right. I think anybody that's watched the Raptors the past few seasons after Kawhi kind of left and Lowry left too, where it's just been like we're lacking that shot making. We don't really have we don't have that guy they can just give the ball to and be like, go get me a bucket right now. And that's just, Gary Trent having a great night. And as you mentioned, defense will keep you in the game, but shot making will win you the game.
Yeah.
And we just don't have that right now.
No. And maybe that will be Siakam. I know there's like always a debate, like, can he be the guy you just give the ball to? Hey, get to the line. Like, this is, we need this. That's a lot to ask. Those are like the elite players, and he's right on the door of that. I know he's talking in this, in the preseason and talking to the media, like, I want to be top 5. That's awesome. That's what we want to hear. But to become that night in, night out is a whole other beast. But he's the guy that's most likely to do that, along with Barnes eventually, hopefully growing into that role.
Now, Skeets, you mentioned him, Gary Trent Jr. Of course, we cannot talk about the NBA or the Toronto Raptors without discussing player movement. He's got a player option at the end of this season. He's going to have a lot of suitors. How does he fit into the Raptors' long-term plan? And will he want to go somewhere else to get a bigger opportunity potentially?
It's very possible. It feels, and it all depends on, how they get off to the start of this season, how many wins they rack up, and how good they're feeling in the landscape of the East. But it does feel like to me that the Raptors and Masai Ujiri are very likely to trade either a Gary Trent Jr. or possibly an OG Anunoby. And I, right now, really, really early would lean towards, if I had to pick between the one to help with the books and help the flow of the team, I would actually lean to towards trading OG instead of Gary Trent Jr. And it just goes back to like that shooting and the 3-point like stretchability that he can have. And not that OG's bad, but they're just different type of players. And also, of course, you have like Barnes and Siakam that can just replace, in theory, the production of an OG, who also at times can struggle to stay out on the floor. I think that's a massive decision, though, Justin. Like, which one will they be more likely to move off of? But if I was Masai and Bobby, I think I'm more. I need some guys that can, hit 5 or 6 threes. Van Vliet can do that too. He has those big games where he catches fire from 3, but it's different, right? It's obviously coming off the dribble with him, and some of it's in transition. But Gary's like a real threat. You sort of have to know where he is, and he's so young too. I always forget how young he is, and I shouldn't after I see how he dresses, and I'm like, well, I can never pull that off. That's a young man's, wardrobe. But I think if I'm betting, it's like OG is the one that's possibly moved if they have to make that decision around a trade deadline or something.
Oh, well, don't let Raptors Twitter listen to you on that one.
No,
but
I know.
I think, yeah.
I do have one thing to say about Gary Trent Jr. He's a clutch guy. So hot take, maybe the Lakers, Gary Trent to the Lakers. LeBron getting one of his clutch guys to come back to LA. I think he could
But if Gary wants
the Lakers could use us.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
They're not going to be that desperate. They'll take anybody.
Don't give him
After
ideas.
last night too.
Yeah.
Don't give him no ideas. They'll be on the corner of our door. But I think if a move has to be made, I've heard rumblings of Shea mid-season. I think it was Windhorst who was saying that. It could. Canadian coming back home. I would not put that past Masai. He's done greater things that we've seen. But I got to ask you, Skeets, early finals prediction.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Bucks versus the Nuggets.
That's a common theme. Want to explain?
Yeah, it's a little more. Yeah, you're right. Like I've been thinking about this for weeks and doing all our preseason shows at the Athletic and part of No Dunks. And it's like, oh, okay, maybe I'm excited, talk about a Canadian coming back, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr.'s looked good there in preseason. And then you're putting that with a 2-time MVP and Jokic, and they got some defense there in KCP and stuff. Like maybe they can stop some teams. I thought I was going to be like one of the rare people, like very, very high on Denver, but it feels like a lot of people believe that they could go pretty far. But I think it would be really cool for the league to see like a Jokic versus Giannis type of matchup in the finals. There are 6 teams, though, in all honesty, you could convince me will be in the finals, probably 3 or 4 from each conference. So it's me throwing darts here, but give me Milwaukee over Denver in 6.
So Skeets, there's been a big debate in our office, and you're talking about throwing darts. So I think a dark horse MVP is Dame Lillard.
Ooh.
I want to gauge your interest on that. Do you think Dame Lillard could enter into the MVP conversation if he's healthy all season?
Well, I don't know. You're reading my mind or you're listeing to our podcast because I am high on Dame as well. Yeah. Okay, good. I like it as a dark horse pick. Like I wouldn't be putting a lot of money on that. I actually had Damian Lillard a couple of years ago as my MVP pick, and it bit me in the ass. So I was like, I'm a little scorned. I don't want to do it again. But I think the Blazers are being slept on because I'm convinced they can play better defense with Gary Payton II there and Jeremy Grant there, and obviously a healthy Damian Lillard leading their offense. I think they're going to be like a sneaky good team in a loaded West. So I don't mind it. I also feel like when you just look at the odds, and maybe this is me reacting to like opening night, but Tatum at not as a favorite for MVP, like why aren't the Celtics could be the best team in the league, and if he's the best player scoring 30, you could see him getting a lot of votes. So those would be my 2 like dark horse picks. But I think Giannis is actually going to win it.
You just mentioned the Blazers being a sneaky good team in the West. And we actually just almost had a World War III in the studio the other day because he said the same thing. He actually had them top 6 and I was going to walk out the door. Are you that high in the West?
I'll put it this way. We had a segment called Outlandish Predictions, and I went with Blazers will be a top 6 team in the Western Conference.
Thank you.
So it's outlandish, but I can see the path because I'm not as high on some teams like the Mavericks or maybe even the Pelicans. I think people are putting the Pelicans like they're getting ahead of themselves a little bit too with them. I think they're like a year maybe removed. So I could see the Blazers challenging those teams, but I know that they've been put like 13th by some people, 12th in the conference by some people. So there's this huge gap here from 6 to 13. But I like them being closer to 6. I'm with Justin on that.
Wow, you just made his day.
Great minds
and
think alike, I
ruined
That's
mine.
right. That's right. Well, we'll look back on this and we'll
I'm
look
gonna
like
have to
fools.
respect
Yeah.
this opinion just because coming out of you, but
Okay.
you just, like I said, you just made Justin's day. Before we end it off, I have a little fun game for you, and it's just pretty much gonna be: I'll read you a word, I'll read you a sentence, and just give
Okay.
me the first thought that comes to your head.
Okay.
All right, super
Yep.
simple. You got this. Brooklyn Nets.
Tired. I'm just tired. I'm just tired of talking about them, really, because we did all off season long, with people wanting out and hey, fire the coach or I'm gone. Oh, wait, you're not going to do that? I guess we're here. Like just the drama, like off the floor. So I'm tired, but excited to see them just play basketball now. And like they are the ultimate team that could be a championship contender, or you could convince me they'll be in the play-in. Like it's like a 30-win gap with this team because you just don't know how volatile there are with like the dynamics of the squad. So yeah.
Seriously, last year I was like, to everybody who would listen, I'm gonna just look at the roster. I can't give you numbers. I don't got no stats for you. Just look at the names on the paper. And this year I'm like, I'm holding my reservations. Give me a full until All-Star to make up any final run to what the Brooklyn Nets will look like.
Yeah, but even with that, they were like 29-16 last year. They were like number 1 in the East. And then it obviously just blew up in their faces and they're losing and getting swept in the first round. So like even then we have to be careful. Like when they go on like a 3-week run and look like they can't be beat. It's like with Kyrie and KD, like anything can flip on a dime. So be careful.
It all depends if they actually want to play basketball this year or not. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Seriously, who would have thought like players wouldn't want to play basketball? Eh? Crazy. Draymond Green.
Corny.
Oh, I like that one.
Honestly, did you see this like documentary that he did? Like that was so cringe. I actually was getting like I felt embarrassed. When you watch like a performance or something, you're like, oh, it's like I feel embarrassed. I'm not even up there on the stage, like someone like butchering like karaoke or something.
Embarrassments.
Yeah, and that was
the new media.
Corny. Yeah, new media. I mean, if that's new media, the new media sucks.
And the craziest part too, after that documentary, like the whole thing is like super well produced. His hugging his kids while like Sarah McLachlan singing in the background, and then he shows up to the game dressed all green. And I'm like, are you the heel or what are you trying to do?
He's money
he
green.
He is the hero of his own story. And,
yeah, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And it was strange. Yeah.
Raptors Twitter.
Well, I'm trying to think of one word. I mean, loyal, but a little crazy. Let's put it that. Let's go with that. Die hard loyalty, but a whole lot of crazy.
Kind of
delusional is my word.
I mean, look, yeah. I would you rather have a fan base, even if they're delusional, at least be loud and proud and wanting attention and talk about our team and here's why we're good and here's where we're going. Would you want that? Or would you want just crickets and nobody even cares or, wants to talk about your team or whatever? So, if it's one or the two, give me a little bit of delusional thrown in with the diehard loyalty there.
I agree with that completely. Yeah. Clutch Sports.
I guess I don't have a lot of opinions on Clutch Sports. Killing it though. Look, getting guys paid, always in the news. I've got an agent. My agent ain't making headlines every second day, I guess for good or bad. So no, LeBron and his empire, man, this guy right now he's struggling to win basketball games, but everything else he seems to be killing when it comes to endorsements and his team there that he's got in place.
I don't blame him. With money like that, why would you want to play basketball, right? That's like Kyrie and KD too. Just retire at this point. Go back to side businesses.
He is the king for a reason, right?
Okay, relax. Jimmy Butler's hair.
That was like a fun off season. I don't want to call it a meme, but a moment. And it was I always love I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, talking about basketball for a living somehow for 20 years now. It's insane. And my wife is not a big NBA fan, but I always love when weird things cross over into her world where she's like, what is Jimmy Butler doing? What are these? What are the extensions? What's going on? Is there a story behind it? And you're trying to figure it out. So yeah, it was fun. like, I think he even admitted it was like, yeah, I just did it to get you guys something to talk about, like during the summer. So it's like mission accomplished. Thanks, Jimmy.
In the off season, I'll take anything at that
Yeah,
point.
right?
I'll talk about your clothes, your shoes, whatever you're doing. I'm
Yep.
on it.
Dog days of summer, right?
Yep.
Well, with that, thank you so much, Skeets, for joining us. I'll give you the floor for a sec. Let us know where to find you. If you don't know where to find Skeets already, I don't know
Yeah,
what to
what
tell
do you
you,
mean?
but
Yeah.
we're gonna have to do that anyway. Go for it.
Yeah, just check us out at No Dunks Inc. is the Twitter handle, and search for No Dunks on YouTube. We do a daily NBA podcast every morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, live on YouTube. Flip it into a podcast that you can find on Apple and Spotify, wherever you download podcasts. Yeah, we've been doing it for a long time. We were the Basketball Jones up there in Canada, and then we were the starters here in Atlanta on NBA TV, and now we're No Dunks. Now and forever, because we own our names now. That's the best thing. You know, our agent helped us out with that. So yeah, just search for No Dunks if you want basketball content. You know, some NBA insight sprinkled with some laughs. I think we're the right show for you.
Like I said, if you're not already following them, you don't know who they are. I don't know what to tell you, but get on it right now. If you're listening to us, you already know who No Dunks is. You know who Skeets is. But thank you so much, Skeets. Like I told you before, we are not worthy. Thank you for taking the time to be here, and go Raptors. See you soon.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.